Today I'm going to show you how I painted this painting of the Brooklyn Bridge, and also want to talk about culture and why we are creative. For most of us, if you look at the culture that's in the world around us and you really think about it, most of us could probably agree that there's a lot that's going on in our culture just at large that isn't exactly uplifting or edifying. Sometimes I wonder why that is. And I don't think that it was always necessarily that way. I think for us, when you think about culture, so oftentimes we're really thinking about mass media, or we're thinking about something that's a large movement of people, right? We're thinking about what is a whole group of the population thinking about placing their value structures upon, or maybe gleaning their values. What are they thinking about? What are they valuing? I think culture speaks to that in a really profound way. And I think for me, that's why I think it's so important for all of us to participate in culture. Even if you're not reaching masses of people, I think that being involved in culture can be important because for most of us, we look at things and it seems kind of grim. And yet, if most of us created culture, it would be a different story. I haven't quite figured this out in my mind if I'm 100% certain on if this is true or not. But I have to wonder if people like you and me, by simply creating culture that maybe is edifying, that is uplifting, that points to something that's valuable and meaningful, even if that art just touches one person's life, maybe it just touches your own life, or two people's lives, your life and a friend, a family member's. Could you reach a point where there's a critical mass of culture that's being created that makes a difference in society at large? I'm not sure. Isn't it worth finding out? And even if you couldn't make an impact, let's say you can't make an impact in society at large, to me it's a really intriguing idea to think about, forget about changing the world, can you just change things for yourself? Can you just change things for yourself and your sphere of influence? Maybe that's your family, your friends, anyone who's remotely interested in the culture you create. Because at the end of the day, whether you're painting, whether you're playing music, doing art, writing poems, whatever it is that you do, that's culture. Culture is made by us. We're the culture. And sometimes I just think that it's so easy to look at mass media, to look at the culture out there and to say, oh, it's just something that's out there. When really, we're the culture makers. Now, it's true, not every one of us is going to be, extremely famous. We're not going to be featured on TV and magazines. Most of us won't. But if you think about the people in your life who made the biggest impact, how many of them were featured on the magazines or on the TV shows? Any of them? I mean, maybe one of them, right? Most of us, we don't move in those circles of celebrity and fame. And yet, would you deny that the people who had the biggest influence on your life, your outlook, the way you look at the world, the way you treat people, the people who affected your value system, what you think is right and wrong, were those people famous? Or were those people just doing the best that they could? Were those people just saying the truth? Were those people just affecting the people in their sphere of influence and you were in it? Because if that's the case, that should be an empowering thing for us. If you paint paintings of landscapes, if you write songs about love, and you affect the people in your sphere of influence, you might have more impact than the people on MTV or the people on YouTube or the people that are on the magazines. Because, what's interesting is celebrities and mass media, it comes and goes like that. I mean, it's crazy to me that albums and bands that I was into just a few short years ago, they're totally irrelevant now. Music genres come and go like crazy. And it's wild. It's cheap. It's fast. It's easy. It comes and goes. And I don't know how much it really means to people. I think that we're living in a time where, because of the internet, my ability to do this, and the means of our abilities to communicate with one another have changed exponentially in so many different ways, and the speed with which we can communicate and the cheapness with which we can communicate, i.e. it's not very expensive to upload a YouTube video and you can reach millions of people, or to put an Instagram post, or to send an email, or to send a text message. All of those things 100 years ago, you couldn't reach that many people 100 years ago. You couldn't reach that many people 20 years ago. And so that's fundamentally changed how we communicate with each other as human beings. And I have this gut feeling that at its root, we're all still grappling with trying to even understand what just happened. What have we done? What Pandora's box have we opened? And to me, the more I think about it, and I'm not here to claim answers, but more I'm here to have a discussion with you guys about the fact that maybe the old school view of what communication is really about, which at the end of the day, all art is fundamentally about communication. We can use words to communicate, but we can use notes to communicate. We can use pictures and color and line and texture and poems and dance. All of that is to communicate something. And part of me just feels like when you think about the people who communicated the most important things in your life, being that they weren't celebrities, most of them probably, most of us aren't in the elite spheres of the world. And if you are, I think even so, let's say your family members are celebrities, usually it's not the outgrowth of their celebrity that imports the important things of life into your life, right? It's going to be those quiet one-on-one times that they speak to you. It's not going to be your dad's album, if your dad is Johnny Cash or something. I want to talk about these things because I feel like for so many of us, there's so many aspects to society that can really make us feel overwhelmed and helpless. I think it's the high-speed, fever-pitched madness of the information age, the so-called information age. What information are we spreading? It's just an interesting thing. When I talk to my friends, let's talk about music. And of course, this is all anecdotal. We all have our own spheres of influence and things like that. But I don't know anybody I hardly know anybody who listens to top 40 radio. And I know even fewer people who respect it. And so isn't it weird that that's the most consumed music? I mean, just anecdotally, I'm telling you, and I'm not disregarding top 40 music, because some of it I like, some of it I don't like. I think some of it's cool, and some of it I don't like. But if we just take that as an aspect of mass culture that's out there, it seems like we can say, oh, there's millions, maybe billions of people that are consuming this media ravenously. And yet I'm waiting to meet somebody who respects that, or who thinks it's really good. How do those two things jive? And I really don't have the answer to that. And yet it's like when you think about what are the organs of communication that communicate things that are respected, or that are meaningful, or that are impactful. It's not mass media. It's not fame. I think sometimes it can be that. I mean, you can get a profound message from a major movie or a TV show or a popular book or a popular song. You can. But I don't know that those ideas are originating there, and they're not there very often. And that, when you think about top 40 music, or you think about a summertime, movie hit, the smash hit of the summer, do you think profound? Is that what you associate it with in your mind? For me, like top 40, I associate that with this is what they play at the bowling alleys and at the swimming pool. This is what's on in the background when you're shopping for jeans. I don't think of like, oh, those are the songs that changed my life. That sometimes that's there, but sometimes it's not. The truth of the matter is, I think, because I see from personal experience, from my friends who play music, from my students who write songs, that they write songs that are meaningful and profound in a way that it could change somebody's life. And I guess just being confronted with that, working with students of mine, seeing their work, their creative output. Sometimes these are children. Sometimes I'm talking about a child under the age of 10 that plays a song on their violin, and it's so moving and so beautiful and so cool that it's something really special. And it's not just because they're a little kid. Because I work with kids all the time, so I see through the cuteness factor. That's a valuable, beautiful thing. Kids are wonderful. But this is something else. This is them as like a human being capturing this little spark in this brief moment. And me getting to see it. Maybe we're the only ones who will get it. They're so inexperienced, they might not be able to replicate that magic again for a while. And in this moment, me and them will be sitting together, and I can hear this song, and I think, this is a special moment. How is that possible? How is that possible, and yet the songs that we buy on iTunes or stream on Spotify, they don't do the same thing? To me, is because there's something about that human touch. I'm not like, oh, I'm only interested in this kid's music if they're famous. Right? Because they created something real. And I have to believe, I want to believe, that whether it's me hearing it, or their mom hearing it, or just that little kid hearing it, that culture that you create, that piece of artwork, matters. I think for all of us, if you look outside and you feel like the world is a strange place, I go outside and I feel like, what is this strange planet I'm walking through? It's a crazy world, and it's really hard to understand. And I know there's all kinds of different viewpoints and worldviews and philosophies and things like that. But it seems like all the worldviews and all the philosophies and all the different groups of people can agree on one thing, that everything's upside down and everything's backwards. I mean, I'm not sure who's the group out there that's just saying everything's great right now. Is there anyone? I mean, God bless them if there's anyone there. But to me, this is a conundrum for us as creative people to think about. The power that we have, the pen being mightier than the sword, it's really true. The power you have in your hands, even as a novice, even if you think I'm a nobody, I just do this as a hobby. I just do this for fun. I just do this to relax. I always thought it would be cool to play guitar. I always thought it would be fun to learn how to do watercolor. When you do that creativity thing, when you create a piece of art, you're creating culture. And that culture communicates something to other people. First and foremost, the most important thing that I think it creates, that it can do, is that it can enable other people to think that maybe they could do it too. I wouldn't be here on YouTube if it wasn't for me watching other people make YouTube videos and thinking, that looks really cool, I'd love to try that. And guess what? I mean, a couple years into this YouTube channel and I still don't know how to make a YouTube video. But I like to try. I've been playing guitar for about half of my life, and I still feel like I don't know how to write a song. I don't know how to play guitar. I mean, I learned somewhere along in my 20s that it was okay to tell people I was a guitar player, but I didn't tell them before that. Because, truth be told, sometimes in my heart, I don't feel like a guitar player. I don't feel like a painter. I don't feel like an artist. But I'm just a person who makes paintings, who writes songs, who puts out albums and makes YouTube videos. And I'm not going to become famous. I don't think that matters. If you can write a song, if you can make a painting, and you can capture something for somebody, that's an incredible thing. I'm just now reminded of a moment a couple years ago. I was out in my neighborhood painting, and I don't live in the best neighborhood. There's a lot of crime in my neighborhood, and that's okay. I'm sort of used to it. But I felt a little bit exposed where I was painting, and I kind of knew that I was on a rough block, and so I went for it. It was Thanksgiving, and so I thought everybody's going to be inside anyways. It'll probably be fine. So I was painting, and things were going really good, and let's just say a group of people stopped and conspicuously came up on me, and my first thought was that I was probably going to get mugged, because that's the sort of thing that happens in my neighborhood all the time. It's happened to me before. And to my surprise, this group of people was just freaking out about seeing my painting. They started taking selfies with my painting. They were like, I mean, it was crazy. And I guess there's a story in there, not to judge people, but I'm just saying I've lived in this neighborhood my whole life, and having been mugged before and things like that, you kind of pick up on the signals, and you know that it's a risk. And so I wondered if they were going to mug me, especially a group of people. And the thought that crossed my mind is that when I go to my local museum, there is very rarely a big group of people freaking out, taking selfies with the artwork there. But my lowly painting, as somebody who's still learning how to paint, got like ecstatic attention by 4, 5, 6 people. They stopped their car, got out of the car, ran across this empty lot to just check out the painting. And I just thought, I mean, pieces by Rubens and Degas and Monet do not garner that kind of excitement, and it's 20 blocks that way. Not saying that my artwork is comparable, but in a way, how crazy is that? How crazy is it that people would pull over their car? I honestly thought it was a failed painting. I still don't like the painting. But the idea that they saw me, just some dude in the neighborhood, sitting on the side of the road painting, blew their minds. And I would hope that a small part of them would think, gee, maybe I could do that if that's something that they want to do, or whatever creative thing they wanted to do. You don't know what little impact just people saying, oh man, you play the guitar? You're taking drawing lessons? I mean, whatever it is that you do. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you do photography. The fact that you demonstrate that you can be a person that does those things can be inspirational in of itself. And I tell you, back to mass media and mass art and just the culture at large, it's not inspiring. And so I think it's incumbent on us to be the people who are inspiring. If you're a parent and you don't want your kids being inspired by what's on TV or what's on the top 40, then you inspire them. You will. All of you. You never know who you're going to inspire. I'll be honest, I'm inspired by a lot of you, by some of you who watch these videos, by my friends, by people I know who post on Instagram, by my fellow YouTubers, people I've gotten to meet. That keeps me going. I see other people's videos, I see other people's paintings. All of that makes me feel like it's normal and it's okay. I love seeing people make mistakes and showing their failures, because then I don't feel so bad about mine. And to me, it's inspiring, and it makes it an inspiring practice to pursue something that's elevating. I know that in historic times in the past, a lot of artwork and music was written to sort of edify the mind, to elevate our thoughts, to make us ennobled. And I can't help but feel that there's so many forces in the culture at large now that are degrading to human beings, that degrade the human being, that degrade the human experience. And of course, so many of these things are subjective. This isn't an argument about that. I'm not the thought police. I'm not here to denigrate anybody's expression. But even for ourselves, I encourage you to not constantly denigrate yourself. And if I can say a revolutionary statement, try not to denigrate other people either. What if we created art, whatever your medium, that elevated the human experience instead of degraded it? What if we celebrated the beautiful aspects of life instead of denying they exist? What would the culture look like then? I don't know. But even if you can't change the world, I still believe that you can change one person's life, even if that person is you. To me, it's a lot like planting seeds in a garden, but the garden isn't yours. You don't get to see the fruit. You might get to see the growth, and you might not. And so you plant those seeds in good faith. Most of them probably won't grow, but probably some of them will. And isn't that worth doing? Isn't it worth putting beauty back into the world, putting a positive, uplifting message? Of course, I don't just mean positive and uplifting in the emotional sense, because I watch R-rated movies. I listen to explicit music. A classic example I give is the movie The Godfather. You watch that movie, and it's about organized crime, about murderers and smugglers and mafia members. And there's violence and lying and betrayal and all kinds of horrible things. And yet there's a profound message about good and evil, about loyalty, about power. I think that movie resonates because it addresses important, meaningful topics in a way that maybe like an ultra-violent horror film that just celebrates violence does. It's not that you can't talk about these things. It's why. Why and what? Why are you communicating what you're communicating? And what are you communicating? And why are we doing this? Is it just for fame? Is it just for attention? That's hard. I've talked with a lot of my friends are artists too. And one thing that I've observed is all of us who really try to make a go at a creative life have more of an ego than people who don't. Okay. I think you need a little bit of ego to do this. To like try to make it your profession, to be obsessed about it enough to do that. You need a little bit of an ego. You need just enough to think that the stuff that you do might be worth listening to, looking at, consuming. You need to think that the songs you write might be good enough for somebody to listen to. But it's hard not to give into that. The ego is addictive, and it's a liar most of the time. And I think most things in life, if you do it just for self-aggrandizement, just for selfish reasons, it's going to destroy you, and it's going to destroy everybody it touches. But in general, again, here's another revolutionary thought. What if we do good things for the right reasons? Can't we make a world of a change? I don't know. I sit back and I think, who's going to change the world? The world's a terrible place. Who's going to change the world? Who's going to save us? And guys, I'm telling you, maybe it will be us. Not because we want to be famous. Not because we're going to be successful. What is success? Maybe success is playing a song and having it touch one person's soul in a way you'll never understand. Maybe success is painting a picture and having it bring back a precious memory in someone's mind that they can hold on to. Maybe we create this art and it changes the culture around 1 or 2 or 3 people around us, however many we're blessed to touch. And maybe that's how we change the world. Maybe that's how we make a difference. I struggle with this. I struggle all the time with thinking that my art is horrible. I hate 9 out of 10 of my paintings. 10 out of 10. At some point, I hate them. I feel like my music stinks. I can't write any songs. I think my YouTube videos stink. I think about giving up and quitting, that it's an embarrassing thing, and I think about giving it up every week. This week, I thought about shutting down my YouTube channel, about pulling down all of my music, and stopping painting. Because I think, does it matter? Does it matter? And I think, I don't know that I'm the only one thinking that. Because I look at the world, and I think there's a lot of messages out there that tell us that it doesn't matter. Your silly paintings don't matter. Your silly songs don't matter. Your dances don't matter. None of it matters. You don't matter. That's the message of the world. That's what I've been hearing for years and years and years. There's so many messages out in the world that say, you don't matter. And guys, I'm telling you, it's up to us. Guys, I'm telling you, it's up to us to push back and to say, yes, we do. We fight to say that life matters, that this world matters, that there's beauty in the things around us, that everything, it's not built to just destroy. Sometimes things can be built just to build them. Sometimes you can play your guitar just to play your guitar. Sometimes you can paint your paintings just to paint your paintings and to share what you saw, what you thought, what you feel with somebody else. And it can become contagious. And if it becomes contagious enough, we'll change the world. Thanks so much for watching. Check out the previous 2 videos I made about this painting if you want to see the whole process. I want to thank all of the new subscribers for subscribing and coming along on this journey with me. I like to talk about music. I like to talk about things like this, creativity, and I do art, visual arts and music, and mostly I just want to share the creative journey and talk about these things with you guys. One more thing, I recently just put out a new album that I recorded. It's the biggest project I've done in my whole life, and I did a painting for the album artwork if you want to see the album artwork here. And also you can check out the album on Spotify and Apple Music and all the places where music is carried. And I would appreciate it if you would listen to it. Let me know what you think. You can also purchase the album and help support me as an artist by buying it from my Bandcamp page. All the links are down in the description. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. You have a voice that matters. Go be creative. I'll see you guys next time.